Welcome back, Nerdiverse, to another episode of the long awaited, mostly anticipated MOTN lore, where we, the masters of the Nerdiverse, get to talk about objects of lore and how important they are to their universe. And by the end of all things, we're going to grade them on how important they are to the lore from a 0 to a 5 rating. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G. And with me, as always, is our also host, the master of the Nerdiverse, Jedi Counselor himself. I would say Adam user because he's just way too smart to not be on Adam. Wash, what's going on, sir?
What up? Glad to be here. We are talking a couple of different things. We're talking morality. What's that?
What's
Or
that?
we can, so we should, right?
Yeah, Jurassic Park rules. If we can do it, we should. Why aren't we doing it?
Oh
That's
God, I hadn't even considered Jurassic Park rules. That's like a whole new thing for me. Before we get started, because I do always have a little bit of background going on, I have an MOTN lore lament configuration up in the background. Do we have a new MOTN lore like graphic banner thing that's going on
yeah,
here? That's pretty
yeah.
sharp. I like that. I
We gotta
like that.
come.
Fairly slick.
We gotta come back correct, bro. We gotta come correct for this reinvigorated lore. It's been so long since we've done a lore, so we got to
Been
bring
a
it back in
minute.
style. It's been a little
And
while.
what a lore. I mean, for the love of God, what a lore.
What a lore, bro! If you want to do a deep dive into some interesting morality tales and just questioning your own kind of moral compass, welcome to BioShock, one of the most interesting games of all time.
And I had to actually, one of the last things I did when getting ready for this was actually go look at who wrote it and what year it came out because it just didn't matter. And Mr. Ken Levine,
Levine,
his name used to be everywhere. I have no idea what happened. I'm assuming it has something to do with Infinite, which we may broach. But that being said, dude, what is going on in your head?
my man had something to
Like,
say.
yeah,
If he may if he didn't crash so hard, you know what I'm saying? Like he may have been our like Grant Morrison or you know what I'm saying? Like who wrote V for Vendetta in Watchmen? Alan Moore of
Alan
our
Moore.
time. Because this man had something to say. Forget
Yes.
video games. You know what I mean? Can we
No,
really talk
I
about it?
I'm telling a story.
I'm making a point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm tired of it, dude. I'm so tired of it.
You'll have to go back and catch the last MOTN live last Friday, but we were just talking about someone else who does this as well. That's like, I got a point that I'm making, so here it is. Here it is.
Here it is.
So,
I can't be more obvious. You know what I mean? So tonight we're talking about the object of lore that we're focusing on this evening is honestly one of the most powerful concoctions in media that I've ever seen. The applications of this thing is so insane. And it's like it's pure magic. We're talking about the compound atom, the what fuels BioShock from BioShock 1 to BioShock 2, even a little bit of BioShock Infinite, and its growth pattern, where it came from, what is it, and how it affects the lore. Can BioShock exist without Adam? That remains to be seen this evening. Before we get started, I always want to ask if you would you kindly
which
like this
finally,
content? Would you kindly subscribe to the channel? And would you kindly promote us and let people know that MOTN is a thing? Like, comment, subscribe. Any thoughts before we jump into this lore, my good sir?
no, a man chooses, a slave obeys.
A man chooses, a slave obeys. Let's go. Before we even get into Adam and kind of what it is, how it affects the world, we got to talk about the world. So this is where it's time to welcome you to Rapture.
We do, and I want to take us behind the curtain a bit because I don't know. Out of all of BioShock, out of everything we could have picked within BioShock, why did you land on Adam? of instead of, let's say, Rapture, or let's say the little sister, or Big Daddy. So this came to mind as me doing my research, because there are so many different things you can pull from in this world, and Lord knows this world could probably go on for a while if they wanted, but we're there, let that go anyway.
Y- No worries. Yeah, there's a lot that you can kind of pull from and do a complete full lore on the processes of Rapture itself, the big daddies, the little sisters, the Rapture Civil War, which I want to touch on. But what interested me about Adam is that it really was the beginning of the end of this science experiment. You know what I mean? It was already failing because just the idea itself of Andrew Ryan's idea of a world without check or balance and just let kind of things happen as they are to do, wild science was already kind of failing, but Adam really drove the was the coffin nail to the end of all things, and in my
Pandora's
opinion,
box.
yes, it was that. Once it was open, there was no putting that baby back in. What are your
Mm.
thoughts on that sentiment?
Well, when we talk about this as a whole, and behind Rapture and Andrew Ryan, who, for me is one of the mainstays in this game, because I am kind of conflicted by Ryan, and I haven't seen the slide, so I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a characters of BioShock somewhere up in here or something to that point, so I'll kind of save that a bit. But for me, his idea of creating this city that is, for lack of better words, purely based upon, if you can do it, do it.
Why not? Okay,
Like,
can you?
if you could do it, do it. And if you can do it better than the next person, go ahead and do that as well. You won't hear any complaints from me. So there's a little part of me that gets behind that idea of Rapture, and also, them pulling this place into the middle of the ocean and building it in secret. And so it lends itself to finding Adam versus Adam finding civilization.
Mhm.
So when we talk about Rapture and BioShock, it's almost a question of, had they not, would it have been a thing? And that's something that I think about quite a bit with this world, because there are a lot of characters in this world.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There is a bit of a Lovecraftian approach to
Hmm.
the beginning of this story where you're going places that you're not supposed to be and you're doing things that you're not supposed to do. And then scratching on that surface, you find something you're not supposed to find. They found, and we're going to talk about more about Adam and like how they came about it. But if Andrew Ryan wasn't so dead set to build the world he wanted to live in, which is not necessarily a bad thing, so like you said, it's you kind of have to root for the guy on a sense, but much like communism, it sounds great on paper, but in but in in practice, it gets rough real fast. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
You know,
And that's one of the things, they didn't game theory it out. They didn't actually
uh,
do the realistic
think
test in like the moon base before they went and did something. So
he,
uh that's true. I will say also about Rapture, and a shout out to one of your favorite games, because I've been trying to place what else BioShock. We talked about this a little bit last week or 2 weeks ago on the live, a little bit of where BioShock its originality from. And
yeah,
there's only one other thing, and I just got it just tonight as I was finishing up some of my prep. This world reminds me so much of Fallout New Vegas,
yeah,
specifically New Vegas,
yeah.
and just the weirdness that is going on within it, and like talking televisions. And so this running dialogue taking you through this huge world, huge world. Um, Super cool.
There's a lot of parallels to Andrew Ryan in Mr. House,
Mm.
right? Where they both kind of saw the world as an opportunity to shape it in their image. You know what I mean? And things didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of parallels to New Vegas as a location like you said, and Rapture. Rapture is kind of the most worst science experiment gone wrong. You know what I mean? Whereas New Vegas is kind of like, let's do this and let's see what happens. I kind of know what's going to happen, but we can recover, right? Right? Wrong. You know what I mean? No, there is no
Yeah, let's let
recovery.
them do what they want. It's fine.
It's
There
fine.
won't be any problems.
Is a man
and
not entitled to the sweat of his own brow? You know what I mean? Speaking of which, I can't not do a BioShock lore without doing one of the most iconic screens you walk up on in this game. No gods, no kings, only man, dude. We've been talking about it. Andrew Ryan's modus operandi was be the, may the best man win.
May the best man.
May the best woman win. If you have great ideas, we'll hear you out and you'll be great. But understand that for every good idea, there's another good idea. So unless you're at the top of your game, you're going to fail fast. And that's kind of what happened to this culture, is that it became a crab in a barrel culture to where people were falling fast coming here thinking this was like, you know, the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm gonna make my super soaker, but there's a guy down here who made a super soaker 8 trillion. But guess what? Your super soaker just doesn't work out. Now you're in the slums of Rapture and you're stressed out.
Right.
What are your
And
thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
the only chance you got is to make a better super soaker. You know what? And it's
That's
like
the only
I,
chance you have.
I don't know how to do that. So now you're kind of on the scrapes on the bottom sitting here because they don't talk about a lot of people leaving Rapture. There's not a lot of discussion about, oh well John and Jim left Rapture and went back to Chicago. That's not a thing. You go to Rapture, you're in Rapture, for better or worse. This opening had me wanting to do a top 10 video game opening of all time, which I don't think we've ever
Yeah,
done. This
never.
opening has a Lost type feeling, 2007, so we're right up in that type of time frame. But from the plane crash, which is fairly eh,
Yeah,
whatever, to going underneath, hitting the little elevator, and then starting to push your way in the world
beautiful.
opens up, and you, as a game player, I remember, because I beat both one and two, I remember not knowing anything about where I was at. I was just like, what in the holy hell is this? And literally it captures you from the word go. This
Go.
game captures you. So this is an iconic image. Iconic.
Your imagination runs wild, right? Like, remember when video games were original properties and you had no expectation of what was going to happen? All you saw on the thing was a thing. Oh, BioShock. That sounds interesting. There was no scoop. There were no commercials. There was nobody who got to play the game 2 weeks early. You knew nothing. You bought the game because it looked cool. And when you booted it up, and like you said, you drop into the ocean from that explosion, and you hear the splicer scratching on the hull of your, and you don't know what's happening, and it's also, it's scary but fun and engaging. You are completely aghast, right? You just don't know what to make of anything. And you walk in here and see this monolith of no gods, no kings, only man. And as a kid, you don't know what to make of that. That's above your pay grade. You just like, holy, you're not philosophically dissecting that. You're just like,
No.
holy shnikes, what is happening, dog? You know, and the game, this is such a lightning in a bottle game, bro. Like,
It really is, and as I went through and did my research, I could not help but think about what you're talking about, just the originality in games and just that sense of wonder. I can't say I've played them all, you know? I can't say I've played that, but I haven't heard buzz like this. I mean, it's BioShock. It's one of the great ones. So they did something right with this world, and I hope we get to see more of it one day.
usually, like every console generation, there's at least one game that sparks the imagination. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? At least one, and in various degrees of, voltage. You know what I mean? Bioshock was a big shock, no pun intended. But then you have things like, I don't know, Journey. on the PlayStation
Yeah.
3, which was a beautiful and just poignant game. Um, Games like Ghost of Tsushima, I will plug that because I still think that is a once in a lifetime console experience playing that game. I Spoilers, I just beat Ghost of Yotai. And we'll talk about that more on Friday, MLTN Live, Friday,
Too
6
damn.
p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard. That's so good. But to BioShock's point, you just you just don't know what to expect. And you're seeing things you've never seen before. It's storytelling that's like Steven Spielberg-ish, or
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like Jim Henson-ish. It's just beyond belief.
And there's a horror element to this world and this game to where Ken Levine and 2K were like, I bet you there has to be two versions of this game. One that's dark, right? And the other that's like, you know what? We're gonna go with option B. We need people to buy this. But this is a dark, dark world with dark, dark science. And you know, as Ahsoka Tano says, the right or the right reasons may have the wrong consequences.
I love that. I love that quote. It's such a good quote. You're
Yeah.
right. It's back to Fallout, right? Fallout's a dark, dark world. If you've ever we reviewed the vaults, if we could tell you that the vaults get super disturbingly bad, and there's things that we'll talk about here today that are disturbingly bad about Adam, but the game knows when to let the tension go. Like I said, it's I remember being legit scared playing this game because I didn't know what was around the next corner. Spicers would come out of nowhere. Big daddies were this impossible being that you just could not stop. It was a gamble, you know what I mean? And it was
Mhm.
fun, but it never stopped being fun. It was just like, man, I got we'll go into it right now with the next slide, but you know what I mean? You go into what makes this game possible. What makes these terrors manageable? What it I asked the question, what is Adam? Right?
Fish.
Slugs.
you you asked. It's like
Yeah.
fish.
Slugs.
yeah, 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 man.
Yeah.
Just a fish.
Yeah.
Normal
That
fish.
that a godfish that was just down there and nobody so pretty much what happened is Dr. Fontaine was working with the docs because there are, of course, not everybody can be C. Montgomery Burns. There were people who had to scrub the toilets. There are people who have to work the docks, who have to do the manual labor, the dregs of Rapture, which kind of
Well,
goes
after
into
your Nerf 2000 fails, you got no choice because
you
you
got to
don't
do
know what Nerf
something.
2500 is. You know what
You
that
can't
thing's
figure it
like.
out. It's too
No,
hard, Doug.
I'll go clean the bathroom. That's fine.
Yeah, Captain Nerf is too real. His swag is too hard, Doug.
Right.
His money too long. You can't beat him. So what do? You go work the docks, bro. And apparently, one guy damaged his hand working the docks. They never really go into what damaged it, but a slug just happens to latch onto his hand. A random slug that just been just around Rapture. You know what I mean? Just down there in the depths of the depths of the depths. And moments later, it heals back. It just heals back like nothing. And Dr. Fontaine said, "Oh, really? That's interesting." And thus Adam was born. From these particular types of slugs, they found a compound that literally rewrites genetics on a cellular level that can literally almost do about anything. Um, they kind of broke it down. They weaponized it. They commercialized it. They made Adam, Diet Adam, Eve. There's so many different versions of Adam. Wash. Um, do you believe that because of this guerrilla science, that if we had the chance, would we capitalize on Adam as a culture now in the real world?
You have me twisted because I was asking myself this question, and it's like, yes, of course we would, 100%. And honestly, it's probably going to turn out a lot like Rapture did.
Exactly.
So don't do that. But that being said, in I pardon me, in the context of this podcast and the lore, it got me asking, well, if Fontaine or Ryan had not built a city that allowed for this type of science to proceed, would we even got there? We have stem cells. I don't know the legality of stem cells and where we're at with it in 2025, but back in 97, it really wasn't a thing. You can't do it. And it's, oh, but there's a lot of health and a lot of science. You can't do it because morally it's not right. I'm not saying this, just saying, with the quotes. So don't yell at me, right? For conversation's sake. Now, slugs, sea slugs, which you can eat, I heard are delicious. I've seen on many a survival show being eaten. If sea slugs had a superhuman power that gave me lightning and allowed me to regenerate, I don't think we would think one iota about the sea slug. We would harvest it.
Mhm.
Now, this is where the science gets gnarly because Dr. Fontaine, is that the right name? I'm saying
I believe
Fontaine.
so. I believe
Tenenbaum. Tenenbaum.
Tenenbaum. Tenenbaum.
Ten, Tenenbaum.
Fontaine is the other half
Yes.
of the equation.
Yes. So Tenenbaum goes, okay, well, how do we do this? And she, over the course of science, comes up with the idea of, well, the best use of Adam is putting it into little girls and having it, I'm sure it's coming, but having it manipulate their DNA so that they can go harvest more Adam. Why? Because there's too many sea slugs. It's literally a manufacturing operation that they have
Mhm.
running. So it's kind of gnarly.
No, yeah. So yeah, Tenenbaum realized that they weren't producing as much Adam from the slugs directly, and people started taking Adam like this because the problem with the system is that if Adam would have been properly vetted through scientific method and given time to run trials and given time to be kind of checked and balanced, it may have changed the world. But in this atmosphere where it's go, 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 do if you can do it, do it. I don't care. Andrew Ryan, vacation of Rapture, there were no checks and balances. It was science at full warp speed. So they just went there. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We don't have enough Atom. We're going through these slugs like crazy. You know what I mean? We figured, like you said, we figured out that in adolescent female children, the, we can produce 30 times the atom that a normal slug would. So it becomes a moral dilemma. But it doesn't because you're in rapture and there are no moral dilemmas, no
There
gods, no
are,
kings,
yeah.
only man.
Nope.
So
Morals, who? What?
what if you
No,
can?
he left.
Morals left last. Morals never got invited. He was on the plane that exploded with the main character. We blew
Right.
Morals up. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? So it's like, yeah, we're just going to start abducting children to produce more Adam because it's starting to get weird out there. You know what I mean? We're going to talk more about that in the next slide. So I want to do a little I want to do some patty cake, if you will. Let's
Sure.
start with the pros. So from Adam, they couldn't just stop at medical application, right? We couldn't just be like heal wounds, heal the sick. Like you said, this rewrites DNA and breaks it back down to stem cells that can literally be anything. We can cure all disease, cure overweightness, cure anything. But why stop there? You know, yes, Adam is a form of some benign cancer that we know about. Screw all that. Why stop there? I
Yes.
figured out a way that we've created a synthesized version of Adam called a plasmid that can grant the user a what is it a kaleidoscope of abilities that they could just use as long as Adam is in their system. This
Yeah. Yeah. Diet
ranges you.
Adam. Yeah.
You take this
Adam gives
comet,
you wings.
Adam gives you wings. Forget a Red Bull, bro. You take that
Uh,
comically large syringe and plug it into your arm. Now you got bees, motherfucker. Now you got bees. You could just zoom bees at cats, dog.
mhm.
Telekinesis, technomancy, pyrokinesis. Uh, you name it, you could do it. The the applications are endless. You become a mutant, bro. You become an X-Man on this
Yes.
stuff. My question to you, Wash, would you take it?
I'd probably at least dabble.
A little bit, right?
I'd
I'm
have
not.
to at least
At least,
dabble,
at
but
least
it is highly addictive and
that.
can cause mania. And this is known information, right? It's not like it's unknown information. It's known information that once you take the atom, you may not get off the atom, but people be taking the atom anyway. So I probably would go with a little tester to see how things happen, but
What if it's like
ultimately,
what if it's like crystal meth addictive,
yeah,
like not even once levels, like it's remember we were talking about like, yeah, hardline drugs must be amazing. If you take hardline drugs, you must be sent to Narnia, because why do people do it, right? Not to trigger anyone, any healing addicts or anything like that, but just saying, like, if Adam is that potent, is it not a
bro,
not even once type situation?
I've been waiting on superpowers my whole life. If
Life.
you tell me that I could pop this
It's
syringe in and all
it's
of a sudden I
almost
have telekinesis, ooh, I have to
it's
be honest with you. this is
it's
this is a discussion, and there's gonna be pros and cons that go along with this thing. So
sir.
here in the hippie fast moving time of Rapture, it's kind of a no-brainer because you got to keep up with the Joneses. It's almost like those college kids. I got to stay up for my test. You know what I mean? Need to get in. Great, but the downside of it all is, yeah, you may go crazy and end up running around like butt naked in the back alley somewhere.
Not to expedite this too fast. Not to expedite this too
Yeah.
fast, but the cons, right? We talked about the pros, telekinesis. We talked about the plus sides of you become a god pretty much. A
Hmm.
walk for whatever application that may have in an enclosed bubble of rapture. You know what I mean? The cons, the mental deterioration, the physical deterioration, like you said, the high addictiveness of needing these powers, because one thing they don't tell you is that the atom replaces parts of your brain that make you you. So when the atom goes away, you go away. So if it stops being about the powers, it stops being about, ooh, I could fly. It's like, no, if I stop taking atom, Mike G is gone. The podcast is gone, you know?
Would you take Adam?
Yes.
Oh,
Like you said, I try to move stuff with my mind on a daily basis, bro.
right.
Like I I dream that the Green Lantern ring will just land in my backyard almost every single
Yeah,
night. If you tell
nice.
me I get to shoot fire out my hands like pyro, but I have to be a crackhead, I'm a crackhead that can shoot fire, bro. I can heal later, bro. Like, I'm sorry. The allure of plasmids is too strong, bro. But I'm a comic book nerd. There's a guy out there who doesn't care about powers. He just wants to get money. He probably won't take it. Me, I got Darth Vader back there. You think I'm not going to do telekinesis if I
Yeah,
can?
yeah, the valid
I
point.
can't fly. Yeah, maybe more than once. How do I get this to stick? Can it stick? No, you just die. I had a good run, bro.
In reference to your mutant statement, because I did end up thinking about the X-Men quite a bit in this world, um, is this a situation where Slicer should have rights?
I think they are citizens of Rapture, and everybody has rights. That's kind of the point, right? Like, if you dream it, be it, right? There are no checks or balances. We all live under the same rules, which is no rules. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and be somebody, and
Yeah.
Adam can help you get there. The problem is that we're running out of Adam. People are starving. You're abducting people's children out of their homes and turning them into little sisters. You're now creating big daddies to protect the little sisters who are now harvesting more Adam out of dead people who've been killed to harvest their Adam. It's getting bad, bro. It's like
And people are going crazy
people are going
still.
actually crazy.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
how do we get all these rats off the island? Let's overflow the island with cats. Okay, now how do we get all the cats off the island? Let's let's overflow the island with wolves. Now how do we get all these wolves off the island? It's that kind of problem they didn't
Yeah.
think through. And
No, and Ryan did not think that through. Like, right, he had a plan and it was open-ended, but things, as you say, when Pandora's box was introduced into this world, and they said, sure, let's open up Pandora's box with a anything goes type of attitude, meaning most people are like, yeah, can we close Pandora's box?
no.
Ryan, Tannenbaum, they're like, yeah.
Fontaine.
Fontaine, they're like, you know what? Let's see what happens. Let's go
Sure.
for it.
It's an
So,
idea.
when that is the decision, and when they bring it back to what would happen here? Yeah, I kind of think we'd be in a similar situation of Rapture, of people just losing their minds, other sections of the world being like, this is fantastic, and overall, probably not the little sisters part. That's hard to imagine, but big daddies, that's not hard to imagine. Protecting Adam, that's not hard to imagine.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty easy to imagine.
Yeah.
So,
Even the little sisters part, people will justify anything, bro.
yeah, I guess.
I need my fix, Doug. I need my Adam, Doug. I'm freaking out. I forgot how to play spades yesterday. I need my Adam, Doug. You know, it gets
It,
rough out
it gives
there.
it gives me an incredible spades hand,
Yeah,
man. I can't
dude.
make a
My
bad
plasma,
bet.
my plasma ability is that I constantly draw aces. It's
Right.
crazy, Doug. I constantly draw spades. That's all the plasma power I want. And the sad thing about these characters is that you see bits of their humanity through their insanity throughout the entire game. The I remember specifically there was the plastic surgeon who was like butchering people in his gallery, and he was turning people into like living perfection. I think it was like making them beautiful, quote unquote. And he just lost his mind, but he was stuck in his rhythm. It's almost like a method of slow, almost like dementia, where you're going crazy, but your rhythms are still there. And these splicers are talking to themselves throughout the entire game. You know what I mean? And they're talking at you. It's never quiet. They're always screaming things at you that you're so hype. You're not listening, but they're trying to tell you to help. Their cries for help as they have their little hooks and they're running at you on walls and stuff. It's really sad, like the plight of Rapture and the fall of Rapture because of plasmids, because of the race for Adam, and overall the Rapture Civil War, the Fontaines versus the Ryans. You know what I mean? That power struggle that was inevitable, but Ryan's like, hey, see what happens, Doug.
It's
See,
fine.
it's
And
fine.
and wanting to be proven right as we move towards the end of the game, ultimately, because we haven't given a lot of love to Jack, but for the love of God, we can go on with this thing for like 10 hours. Like BioShock is deep.
Yeah.
And Jack being pre-programmed by the scientist Dr. Shulong and Fontaine to come to the city to wreak havoc so that he can ultimately Fontaine ultimately take over Rapture
Hmm.
from Ryan. Ryan plays the long game in it and is very much held to the standard of, well, if and he says the magic words, I can't think of them right
Would you
now, but
kindly?
says, would you kindly, just to prove his point about free will not being so free. And everything having its own pecking order. And once you're part of the pecking order and not on the top of that pecking order, you are nothing more than a slave that obeys.
And that was his whole point,
Mhm.
right? Like at the end of the game, some people don't like the ending. And we could talk about the ending a little bit. Where Ryan, some people think that Ryan should have been the last boss and he kind of went unceremoniously. You know what I mean? And but technically Ryan wasn't the aggressor in that storyline. It was the manipulation. It was everything that Ryan fought against. It was like you said, that control that he fought so hard and spent so much money and resources to escape was the instrument of his destruction. At the end of the day, there is order supersedes chaos. You know what I mean? It's like Fontaine's order in his last ditch effort to have Jack come down there, like you said, and be the instrument of change. Even though Rapture was so far gone, what victory is there to have even at that point?
I don't know what you're taking over, but at that stage, it's like freaking the Dark Knight with the Joker running in charge of it. It is really a batshit crazy world when you are running through Rapture as a game player. This world is nuts. As you're talking, you got people just screaming and running this way, and you're doing stuff over here, but yet someone's screaming like, "What?" And this is
Yeah.
2007. It's depth. It has depth that that lends itself to fantastic storytelling. Great job.
Remind me, did Ryan ever take Adam? He was one of the last truly like completely untouched, sane people in the game, right? I can't think of
No,
anybody else in the game who didn't touch Adam at all,
yeah, no,
right?
no.
And Ryan didn't touch Adam
Him and
whatsoever.
Tannenbaum, I don't believe Tannenbaum didn't touch that nonsense either.
Because Tannenbaum is like the main villain of BioShock 2, no? With the
No,
big sisters and all that.
no. That's Sloan, not Sloan. That's somebody else. E- Eleanor and Eleanor and hold on, wait for it.
Wait for it.
Dang it.
Wait
How do
for
I
it.
not have the name? It was right here. I got all the names. I don't have the name.
That's fine. That's fine.
Lamb.
Yes, yes.
Sonia Lamb, Sandra Lamb, something Lamb. Anyway, Lamb is the one who takes over. She's an apprentice of Andrew Ryan's in this one. So she's building this world, and then after everyone dies, she takes over Rapture, and you know, then we
Tries to
get into
rebuild
the
it.
whole Eleanor story of this, the whole Silent Hill 2 story side of this, which is like, you, dude, you're like, oh, I want to play a game. This is great, and you go from BioShock 1 literally to some Silent Hill 2 type of nonsense by the
Yeah.
end of it, and you're like, this
What are
is
you talking
twisted.
about?
What is happening
Why are
right
we talking
now?
about this together?
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying? I love these games, bro.
yeah.
Mind you, we're kind of only sticking to BioShock 1 and 2 because BioShock Infinite is his own insane can of worms that really don't have much to do with Adam. But they would say that in some parts of that game they actually perfected Adam to where it had none of the drawbacks, but all of the punch. But that's for another day. You know what I mean? I want to kind of focus on Adam's importance to Rapture into the BioShock beginning and end of Minerva's Den, BioShock 1, BioShock 2. You know what I mean? Like the entire Andrew Ryan story. In at the end of all things, going into the importance to the lore, I stand by thinking that out of all the elements, out of the social commentary, out of the character design, even out of the gameplay, I think that Adam was really the beginning of the end of this 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 society's destruction. Mind you, there was civil unrest because of the Civil War, but there could have still been commerce. Things that could have been hashed out. A side would have won. This caused anarchy and like Armageddon. It's like there's no society anymore. Ryan's in his ivory tower. You know what I mean? Fontaine is pulling the strings from below. There's no commerce. There's no commercials. There's no families. Everyone's dead or
Hmm.
insane. Adam was the problem of that. It drove the dissidents crazy. And I one thing I did want to mention is that it's important to note that Adam did not leave Rapture. It was not found by the outside world and thus infecting the greater populace. What are your thoughts on the game kind of keeping Adam in a bubble, almost like the Lovecraftian lore could not go into the wild because it would cause the end of the world, you know?
Yes and no. Yes and no, because I did have to do some research on this because I was curious. At the end of BioShock 2, and spoilers, we die on the good ending. Apparently, there's 8 endings to this
Yeah,
thing. I
something
didn't know
stupid.
there were
Yeah, it's
freaking that
crazy.
many. I don't. Why do you need eight? But anyway, and I can't play BioShock 8 times straight through. Like I don't
No,
need that.
I don't. My heart will explode, man.
Right? I don't need that. But on the first one, as Eleanor, who now is a big sister or, adult, whatever, she leaves and she takes all the little sisters with her.
Right,
According
right,
to
right.
GPT, those little sisters do have slugs in them. So technically, Adam is loose in the world. It just has not shown up yet, but according to GPT, that was the implication that was made because I
Mm,
was
that's
curious about, well, what happens to Adam? You know what I mean? Like someone gonna eat this sea slug and get superpowers? No, but it is for me. It opened up a way to continue this story if they wanted to. Unfortunately, much like a Godzilla in like Tokyo, Godzilla goes to the United States. All of a sudden,
yeah.
these little sisters go out and wreak havoc because they're full of atoms. So technically,
It's the end of the horror movie where you see the monster's eyes open in
yeah,
the last scene. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I stand corrected. I forgot about that one bit of lore. I'm more in tune with Bioshock One than Bioshock Two, and we, like I said, it's hard to talk about Bioshock Infinite because that takes place in the future, where you have the floating city of
Columbia.
Columbia, and they have their own thing going on up there, and their own liberation of church and state. But I think
After
Adam
my deep dive, I see why people are upset. That's all I'm gonna say and leave it at
exactly.
that. That's
Jeez,
all it is.
Jeezy Louise. Um, how do you feel about the importance of Adam to this lore? Do you think? Do you share my sentiment that it's kind of the crux of this entire story?
Going
Or
in, I had not considered it to be the Pandora's box of the story, not at all. In fact, I kind of think Andrew Ryan's free free society, free enterprise society is kind of the moral crutch or the crutch where everything lies because without that openness, nothing else is going to be allowed to reign. I mean, North
yeah,
Korea. Can't imagine Adam coming out of North Korea. It's like, well, we've
bruh,
had some earth shattering science. And it's like, you may have, but no one's heard about
no
it,
one's ever gonna hear about it until it's
Right.
too late, dog. You know what
So,
I'm saying?
Ryan allowed an environment for Adam to be brought to the point to where it was destructive. Was it Pandora's box? Yes, for sure. Hadn't even considered it. But if it was not Adam, do you think Rapture and the people of Rapture would have been all right ultimately?
I like to me it's really a chicken or the egg, right? You know what I mean? It's like there would be no Adam without Ryan, and
Mhm.
at the end of the day there would be no Rapture without Adam. You know what I mean? Adam was great for a little while. You know what I mean? It was a miracle drug at first. They had commercials. Welcome to the circus of value. You know, they were selling it in like freaking vending machines at like schools and stuff, dude. Like it was just okay to take oh, it was so good to take plasmids, bro. Just get one. You know what I mean?
Just
At
get
first,
one.
it'll make your life so much easier. Now you could phase through walls like Shadow Cat. You know how quickly you can get to work if you don't have to worry about tangibility? You know what I'm saying? But it's
Nice.
slowly but that commercialism ate away at the core of the society, you know? Like
Mhm.
that's like making cocaine legal. You know, every if you could just get a cocaine shake at Jack in the Box, you think people would be pretty You think people will be pretty unhinged after a little
I
while?
I do think that that is a valid, even though you do not get superpowers. I hear. I
Nah.
do, I do think that that would be a valid comparison of having everyone just walking around just blasted, driving their freaking Ferraris in LA. You
At
know what I
90
mean?
miles
Like
per hour, people punching through
it's
car
probably
windows.
not going to
It's not going to
work
be
out
great,
too
dog.
well,
It's not going to be
right?
great. Society's going to crumble
It may
fairly
be
quick,
fine
dog.
for a weekend,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
you
It's a
know,
party until it's not a party. Until you got people crawling on your roof like a spider trying to find more crack, dog. It gets rough real fast.
day one of the zombie apocalypse is so bad. Day 30 is not good.
Day 300 is
Yes.
like, okay, things are starting to kind of mellow out, you know? You got
Uh,
for those who are still around. To answer your question, do I think that the residents of Rapture would be okay without Adam? In a sense, I mean, with what happens with any civil war, right? A side wins and things change, right? So if let's say Ryan's side won, if Antane was destroyed, the stat quo would remain, and something would end up blowing that damn city up. If it's not Adam, somebody would have created the hydrogen bomb, and that would have been that. Or if Fontaine would have won and the people took over, then there would have been some form of check and balance, which defeats the purpose of Rapture, right? So it's like I think they would have figured it out at some point in within the victory of that civil war. But when you throw LSD that gives people powers into the mix that anyone could use and is accessible to everyone, and everyone's using it, like 98% of the population is using it, and you didn't think through the side effects, that cake don't bake, baby. That there's no society surviving that.
so it's Tannenbaum's fault for not only finding this stuff, but then figuring out a way to like increase its potency and thus needing more of it.
I
The
can't.
doctor is to blame with the free enterprise because the first thing I go to is your boy Romero and the doctor. That is the first thing that my
Yeah,
brain goes to,
exactly.
and it's
When
okay. Just all
but when
right.
there is no supervision, when the cat's away, the mice will play. It's not Tenenbaum's fault for being unhinged. It's Ryan's fault for letting Tenenbaum be unhinged.
Yeah,
It's all goes back to
yeah,
Ryan. It is
yeah.
stupid, kind of cavalier approach to society that if you can dream it, be it, you have all the resources in the world. If you have a good idea, aren't you not entitled to the sweat of your own brow? Mate, there is no checks, there is no balances, there is no church, there is no state. It's just us. We got to figure it out together by
As
any
a
means
heavy
necessary.
AI user, and when I say heavy AI user, I mean all day, every day at this stage. You have me wondering about about the correlation between, my views on AI and yeah, it's coming. Open
Your,
the
s-
doors and the ultimate result of Rapture and me going, huh,
your
all right.
scientists were so occupied with whether if they could, they didn't stop to think if they
Think if
should.
they should. We talk about that a lot on this
A
channel.
lot on this channel because it's such a profound
Yeah.
statement in science fiction, in Nerdiverse. It's like, yes, you can create Frankenstein, but should you? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you can create an underwater base with no rules. Should you? I don't know.
Again, I can't fault Ryan for wanting a better spot. Being, hey, I'm gonna take some cash. I'm gonna go build this thing. Everybody called him crazy until they drove up and saw the big statue, and they went, "Oh,
What? I can live
all right,
there in the penthouse and I get superpowers and infinite money and resources and I get to live
we're
under the
good.
sea.
Yeah, we got food. Like,
We got
oh,
food, we
good.
got shelter. We don't have to go to church on Sundays. This is going to be great. You
Oh,
know what I
good,
mean? This
good.
is going to be awesome, dude. What could possibly go wrong? You know what I'm saying?
Everything."
It's about that time, my man. It's about that
We're
time, my
here
man.
already.
It's, it's about that time, my man.
All right.
Before we get into the power rankings, I know you wanted to talk characters. Is there any
Mhm.
specific character that comes to your mind in these games that you wanted to highlight that hasn't been mentioned?
Yeah, I think that we have glossed all over the fact that the Big Daddy and not David or Goliath, what the hell is his name? Delta,
Delta.
General Delta, um, they play a fairly big role, much like the little sisters, of just being taken advantage of by science
Yeah.
and put to use in in what could be considered horrific ways, but also to be such a protector of these little sisters to you, it's like you were talking about earlier, snake eating its head type of thing, where you're
Yeah.
talking about how do you get rid of all the rats and so for them to have built this world and put such a unique character as the Big Daddy at the forefront of it was an interesting choice for me. And the name Big Daddy and Eleanor in part two actually ends up referring to Delta, or at least Sloan, not Sloan, the other one, damn name. She said that Eleanor called Delta Daddy, and thus, like, it being the because when we talk about this world, Mike,
Yeah.
you talk about the stopgap. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
no one stopped anything. It was do what
Yeah.
you want. The big daddies were a hard no when it came to the little sisters. Hard
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Because it messed with the bottom line. They start playing with the production of Adam. The little sisters' design was to produce Adam and gather Adam. That's why they had those giant syringes would go around stealing Adam from
From
the
corpses.
from corpses. The problem with that is that the genetic memory of that stolen Adam would cause hallucinations, which is why our main character sees visions of other characters going through their motions, their last memories. And the entire game's crux, which is never forced, is do you want to be more powerful? You're gonna have to go after a little. You're gonna have to kill a little sister. But if you want to kill a little sister, you're gonna have to answer to a big daddy who is their sworn protector, not by choice but by design,
But by design.
because these little sisters were just running around Rapture doing their thing, and the Spicers got the great idea to say these things are damn Adam. You know this is an Adam Capri Sun.
They're
It's
running
just
around with a suitcase full of Adam. Like, what are
yeah.
we doing?
What are we not doing? Let's just grab
Right.
it. It gets really gross. You know, it's like that. You ever seen that? You ever seen In the Mouth of Madness, where there's this one
Mm-mm.
scene where there's a pack of children chasing a dog with a knife and fork.
Oh God, no.
It's just the most disturbing, like
Oh God, no.
apocalyptic shit. Like just the
Yeah,
thought of that. It's just like
yeah.
it's just imagining a pack of spicers chasing a little sister with like a knife and fork, and the little sisters go into their little tunnels, and it's like this is what society has degraded to. You know what I mean? So Ryan and Tannenbaum in their infinite well genius said we need to create protectors, which and by force created these big daddies, which were mindless automatons that were stripped of their humanity to now solely protect their designated little sister. Am I getting that right?
You're getting that right, and I'd also like to say that as we close out the lore on Adam, the choice that they give us as the player to harvest these little
So
sisters
rough.
for Adam, upon looking back and when you're going through the game, especially as a younger person, you don't know what the hell is going on. You're not thinking about the philosophy of it all. But when you look back on the game and the philosophy, it's and you think about the eight endings, it's like who got the really bad ending?
Who was the jackass
like
that
like
killed every little sister they came across? Who was that sadist? You right?
Who was in this world that it's like, yeah, my playhouse, I'm here. I'm just gonna do terrible things. So I think that that was a great experience as a player to have that choice. And I love BioShock 1. In fact, after going through BioShock 1 and 2, I honestly I'm gonna say BioShock is the better game, just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me. Um, uh, I see how BioShock 2 can be in there, but at the same time, the journey that BioShock 1 takes us on, the new world, along with all the little recorders or whatnot telling the story along the way almost incessantly, it's super helpful to the environment and to that decision about harvesting a little sister. And do I do it or do I don't?
yeah. And the decision is one of the most important things that you don't get in video games often. It's like a choose your own adventure, where it's like you don't really get that kind of decision making in action games. You get power ups all the time without even thinking of it. And it reminds me of watching like Looney Tunes as a child and watching Looney Tunes as an adult. The context is so different that you're almost kind of appalled by Looney Tunes
You
as an
can be.
adult. As an adult watching
Yeah.
these thoughts and ideas, and it's like if I was to play Bioshock now, would I take out even one little sister just because of the context of the source material? I'd be hesitant, right? But as a kid, you're like, no, power ups, let's go, kill anything, kill everything. You're a little kid, you don't know, like you said. But as an adult with history and life, it changes things, man. It
Yeah.
changes your entire perspective on the story, on your gameplay experience. You're gonna get a different ending based on that.
And one of the reasons I love doing these lures, folks, and I hope you guys like them as much as I like doing them, but it's that story. Like for me to be able to go back and look at BioShock in this light, I learned a lot about BioShock in this world that I did not necessarily pick up upon my first times and upon repeat watchings because everybody plays this thing. You know, you're always popping to somebody playing BioShock on a Twitch. So it really makes me wonder if a lot of folks do understand the gravity of what is going on and the depth of these characters and their just moral blindness to Huh, moral. Yeah, nah, he was on the plane.
He was on the plane, he got blown up. It
Yeah,
always it reminds me of our lore on the Halo array. Watch that
yeah,
episode, it was really
very
good.
much. Yeah.
Where it's like you don't think about it when you're shooting, the Covenant as Master Chief and you're in your Warthog and the music is playing. You don't think about the ramifications of what a Halo array really is, right? It's like same thing with Adam. I've never That's why I love doing these lores because it educates me on these things I've never really thought about. You know what I mean? It's like crap. This was this was the forbidden fruit. You know what I mean? That drove Adam and Eve out of the garden. You know what I mean? Adam, no pun intended, is what drove these people out of their Garden of Eden. They created their own personal Eden in a weird
Hmm.
way, and they stole the information from Adam, and that just became the beginning of the end. Which is why I I'll go first this time. I believe that Adam is extremely important to this lore. Is it the end all be all? I don't think so. I think you can still have a BioShock game without Adam. It just would be a lesser game. It'd be a less interesting story. Because Rapture into itself is fascinating as hell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, the social commentary of Andrew Ryan is fascinating as hell. The Civil War, you could just have people who aren't crazy. You could have people who just want to fight for their side, and you're thrown in the middle. That would be a video game. But when you insert cosmic horror and body horror and insanity and powers, it just makes it so much more rich and so much more interesting that uh I have to give Adam 4 out of 5 slugs. It's high up there. It's damn near. The game the game can't really function without it, but it can, so it doesn't get a full 5. But I'm gonna give it a solid 4. Absolutely.
Very good, sir. I definitely appreciate that, and that definitely does make sense. I Can BioShock exist without Adam? I mean, BioShock Infinite is an example of that. Does BioShock Infinite do BioShock justice? No. So, in short, I'm going to have to agree with Mike in this. Is this the most powerful item that we've seen? No. As Mike said at the start, with the correct guardrails, it's not even a problem. In fact, it's
Mhm.
something very akin to back then Star Wars. But you did have the back to war. Eventually, someone's going to die over this thing, which can create life or give powers. So ultimately, for me, as a lore within BioShock, I'm going to agree with you and I'm going to go with a solid 4 out of 5 because we have
Mhm.
evidence that without this necessarily story and just the insanity, because BioShock Infinite doesn't necessarily, it's like Candyland in the clouds.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's different. It's pretty. It's an art game with
Yeah.
a roller coaster.
Whee!
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we got a roller coaster now.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Jeez
for
Louise.
it proved its own weight in that capacity. So yeah, I'll say a 4 is completely justified in this power
A
ranking.
4. That's a good solid, I would say that's a respectable, beyond respectable rating for an item that I didn't really think about, but it really, to me, is the crux of the entire chain of events, you know?
If you had asked me previous to the lore if Adam was a 4 or a Crux, I would have said no. I would have said a little sister is going to rank higher than Adam is. But in its own accord, as you say, little sisters are just kind of running around doing their own thing. They're wind up toys. They're just
Mhm.
kind of they're on their own programming. And there are a couple of individual ones that we get to see along the journey, but for the most part, they just collect and harvest Adam.
Yeah, exactly. What are they collecting?
Hmm.
Atom.
Adam.
What is the whole point of the economy at that point? It's
Hmm.
atom. It's all devolved into atom. There is no money, there is no commerce. It's just atom.
Adam gives you
Atom
wings.
gives you wings. We're gonna end it on that, dude. This was an excellent lore. This went a lot deeper than what I thought it was. And like you said, the Big Daddy in and Little Sister are on the cover of BioShock 1, holding a syringe to
Look at that
siphon
cover.
atom.
Yeah,
Beautiful. You know what I'm
beautiful.
saying? Beautiful. Any final thoughts on BioShock, on Atom before we close this bad boy out?
No, man. I wish there was more time in my life to just play games because I would surely, if you have not played BioShock,
Oh,
if you haven't
please do.
revisited BioShock in a while, go back. This world, it is just as good as it was in 2007 and 2012. They have aged fantastically. So,
Yes.
um, uh,
I'll say something bold. Playing BioShock for the first time, it's like watching Psycho for the first time and not knowing anything that's going to happen. It's like watching Jurassic Park for the first time and not knowing anything that's going to happen. It's a powerful story. It's an amazing gameplay flow, and you're going to be on the edge of your seat the entire time, ahead
And
of its
there's
time.
nothing else like it on the market. We've discussed this. There
Yeah,
is no other BioShock. Go play. It's just like BioShock. No,
no,
no.
no, nothing's like this game. And there's so many duplicators, but no one ever hit the mark. Even BioShock 2 is not BioShock,
Right,
in my opinion, my humble opinion. It's lightning
right.
in a bottle, bro. Ken Levine could never replicate this. You know what I'm saying? It's just the story was too strong, man. The gameplay was too good. The moral decisions were too great. The only weakness this game has is this absolute ending. And even that's debatable.
Debatable.
With that, work once again, would you kindly like this video if you enjoyed this information that we've in this deep dive into this beautiful lore. Would you kindly comment? Let us know what you think. Is Adam overrated? Should we focus on something else? We want to hear from you, Nerdiverse. And would you kindly subscribe to make sure that you're made aware of new content when it goes live on the channel? I've, of course, been your host, Mike G. He's been our host, Wash. We are the masters of the Nerdiverse. And MOTN out. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen.